my anxiety was so bad at one point I couldn't leave my house, and I thought, how am I ever going to get out of this situation? There's been a few points this year, right at the start of the year, and then maybe like June, July there, where I was like, I'm going to need to go and get a job if I was to do it again. And I had no audience. I wouldn't start with streaming.
Let's talk about JustKaalin. How does a person go from having such crippling anxiety that they're struggling to leave their house to where she is today as a full-time content creator and streamer? And not only that, she is an absolute powerhouse of positivity. Now, Kaalin credits lots of her success not only to her hard work, but to the brilliant community she's built. And we discuss all of that in this episode of the Streamers of Consciousness podcast. Oh, and before we get into the episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on YouTube now to keep up to date with the Streamers of Consciousness podcast. And if you want to listen to the audio, all you have to do is head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and search for Streamers of Consciousness. Enjoy the episode.
Right, I think we're live. I think we're good. Yeah, like I said, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure people are going to start dripping in, and I will make sure that they know what we're doing today. So the whole point of this podcast, and the reason for started this, is I wanted to talk to streamers and content creators and people who have been successful in their careers and figure out how they got to where they got to, and also just to talk a little bit about gaming with interesting people. So before we get to the bit where you start streaming and you become the big success that you are today, did the young Kaalin game? That's the first question.
Yeah, so young Kaalin definitely gamed. Probably from, I don't know when. I would have been maybe 6 or 7. So about 30 years now.
30 years,
so
gosh.
young Kaalin definitely gamed, but young Kaalin would never have thought to be a content creator. That was something that came much later, actually in my 30s. So much later. But yeah, no, I always gamed, and the first kind of times I got my hands on like a games console or any sort of gaming was my dad had found a Commodore 64 in a skip.
Wow.
Someone must have chucked it out, and he brought it home for my brother and I. And it had Paperboy with it and Pong, I think. And it was like weird, and you loaded cassette tapes into it, and it had like a keyboard.
So Commodore 64 was your first?
The very first, yeah, with Paperboy. Although I must admit, I didn't really use it so much for the game. We did do the gaming then. I played Paperboy, but I just loved typing. I was like, typing on.
So you had all this. You had kilobytes and kilobytes of gaming power at your fingertips, and you were just word processing.
Yeah.
So
that was me.
But for the people listening, they may detect a slight accent. Where were you when you were gaming? Where were you born?
Glasgow, and I still live in Glasgow as well, so I'm Scottish. I live not far from where I grew up as well. I haven't moved very far whatsoever.
You started on a Commodore 64.
Yep.
Just a young girl sitting in her bedroom in Glasgow. Where did it progress from there? What was the next? Were you onto consoles? Were you on handhelds?
Right onto consoles. So I came from that very traditional family where I definitely was not bought consoles or games or whatever. I was bought like the Barbies and stuff. But yeah, well, my dad did. But my brother and I, there's 2 years between us, and he is really passionate about gaming as well. And so for Christmas or birthdays, he always got a console. So our next console, even though it's technically his, we were close, he let me play. And our next console after that was the Master System.
Oh, wow.
So Sega Master System. Move. Yeah.
And what games were you playing on the regular on the Master System?
Honestly, I can't remember, because my favorite game from either Master System or Mega Drive, and it could be Master System, was a game called James Pond.
James Pond,
right? And so I'm not sure if this is for either or. One came first anyway. And you played as like this little codfish, like 007 codfish, and you like move through like platformer 2D. Absolutely amazing. I also played a lot of like golf games. Don't ask. just played golf games and racing games, but I don't like golf games and racing games now. But that's what we had.
I haven't seen any on your stream.
Sonic as well.
Yeah, of course.
Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah.
That was frustrating. I never completed that. I always gave in. I could never figure out what I had to do next. I don't know if anyone's ever figured out that game. I'm not sure.
You think you could jump on an emulator and get through it now, or do you think?
No, I think I'd maybe struggle. I don't know. It's hard. I could never figure out like how to do it. But yeah.
And you completed Elden Ring, didn't you?
I did. I definitely have blossomed into a better gamer.
Yes,
for
definitely.
sure.
So you move on to a Master System, and you just continue through consoles. Where do we go next?
Yeah, so we had the Sega Master System into the Mega Drive, and then I think from there straight to PlayStation 1, maybe N64. I actually think we might have got the N64 after PlayStation 1. I'm not sure. But to be fair, the N64 is the only like Nintendo console I've owned until now. The Switch, I never got any, never had any, like I never had the SNES or the NES or anything like that because my best friend did. So I would go to her house to play like all the Marios, and she'd come to my house to play like Sonic and stuff. So that wasn't too bad. Yeah. And then I swapped to PC gaming when I was maybe like 16, 17, and I got my own PC when I was 19, I think. Yeah.
See, that feels quite. See, I've never been brave enough to take the leap to PC gaming, but I'm basically just a baby when it comes to like my gaming journey. But you move. Why did you move to PC?
Well, we got a family computer when I was, I think I was about 11 or 12. And that's when they were first just coming to people's homes. No one really had a PC anyway. It was just like offices. And even then, like a lot of offices would probably they wouldn't be on an electronic system back then. So, I mean, that would be what, like, late 90s, late 90s. That's how old I am. But, and so there wasn't that many people who had a PC. But we had an uncle who just happened to be an IT person, and there wasn't many IT people back then. And so he got us this computer with our dial-up. And at first, it didn't start with gaming on the PC. It was definitely like, using like, MSN, chat rooms, AOL, and it was more chatting. And I don't even know how I got from where I got. I went from like just using the PC for like general stuff to then finding a community of people who played Counter-Strike. And at that point it was 1.6. And I loved the people there. So I played Counter-Strike 1.6 into Source. And from there, I just never kind of looked back.
Have you ever taken has there been a point in your life where gaming dropped off, where you weren't?
Yeah. Well,
when was that?
So I had my daughter when I was 19. Couldn't remember there. And I picked up WoW 2 years after she was born. And I played WoW hardcore for maybe like 3 years after that. So maybe I'm just trying to think at the timeline. Maybe when I was about 25 to like 30, those 5 years, but I would still be gaming. There would still be elements of gaming in there, but it wouldn't be like it was before or like it is now where like, I'm probably playing a game every day, maybe most days. Whether that's for work, obviously, but even if I wasn't working, I'd still be playing because I game for fun as well. I don't stream those games; I just play them. So I like double game and like game for work, game for home. But about 5 years, and I think honestly, it was mostly down to the fact that I played WoW so hardcore for so long. My mental health was not like in the best place, and as I stopped playing WoW, I was really like trying to like get back into like the real world a bit more. So I really just actually stopped for my IRL well-being because it kind of suffered. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who game that can resonate with us. Like it's if you've not got that many great things going on around you, or you're quite isolated. I was a single parent, so quite isolated. It's really easy to be online, gaming, just doing whatever. But for me, it really impacted that real life version of me, you know, like being inside all the time, which is fine. I'm still a hermit, but there is better balance. So I stopped really so that I could find a bit of balance. And I didn't ever actually think maybe I'd go back to like quite hardcore game, but I did. And now I have balance. So that's fine.
I think
fine.
This is an interesting thing though with,
yeah,
I think there is an escapism with gaming for sure.
For sure, yeah.
And for a lot of people, actually, you know, interestingly, when everyone was trapped inside and couldn't go anywhere, it was a real help for a lot of people. I know a lot of my friends were playing like Call of Duty, and the social side of that really helped them. But in terms of it impacting your life, and you're very, very open about your kind of mental health and anxiety and on streams.
Yeah.
It's really, really refreshing. What did you feel like you were using that unconsciously as a kind of escape from reality, I suppose, at that time even?
Yeah, I think more unconsciously, because the thing is that while gaming is an escape, it's an enjoyment. Like I would rather play a game with friends than watch TV. I do love TV though as well, but I'd rather do that. And I think as well, like I had my daughter so young, so I was very isolated, and like I did have friends, but a lot of the times I wouldn't be able to go out, you know, like they would be going out or they'd go on like girls' holidays. I wouldn't be able to go. And so a lot of the time it would just be for that, like, because I'm definitely a social gamer. Like that's I will play. I mean, on stream, I only really play solo games, but then it's still social because we're all together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in my personal, like behind the scenes, I very rarely will pick up like an RPG. It will be a multiplayer game or, you know, a game that I can hang with people. So for me, it was really like feeding that like social aspect and that enjoyment. But like I say, after a couple of years of really gaming hardcore with WoW and like being a parent and then like juggling my job and whatever as well, I realized that it's beyond that. That because I was so isolated, I didn't really realize, I guess, like at first, I think with mental health, sometimes you don't really maybe realize you're struggling with anxiety or depression or whatever right away. It's like a gradual thing. So as I just moved through more gaming and, you know, hiding away, I was like, oh, wait, it is a crutch and it is that escapism as well. So it wasn't right away. It started out as a social thing and then it became that good thing in my life when things were. So it's just easy to be like, you know what, whatever's going on, that can go over there. And I'm just going to game with my friends and have a good time. That stuff can we'll just pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it can wait whilst
it can wait, exactly.
Play the game.
Yeah. And I don't want to say it's like a bury the head in the sand, but for me, it definitely kind of was like, bury your head in your sand. Who cares about that? Like that life is, this life is good.
Yes. Yeah, I get that. So you're kind of fully into gaming. You've done that for a long time. And at some point you've said to yourself, hang on a sec, I can play games and have people watching me play games and start streaming. When was that for you? When did that come into your life? So
I've been streaming since 2018, so 5 years. Oh my goodness. I honestly never thought I could. I never, like, I watched YouTube and I watched streams and I obviously consumed content. But I never thought, hold on till I play games and hang out with people and see what's what. Because actually probably most of the content I consumed, even though I gamed, the most of the content I still consume as well is like beauty, lifestyle, travel, food. Still, that was then and that was now. I didn't watch many like gaming YouTube channels or streamers, or a few, but not really. I would mostly quite happily watch someone like, you know, wander around whatever city and just do whatever. But I got into it because I had separated. I was about a year into my separation. It was about a year later. Yeah, I would have been honestly about bang on a year later. And when I separated from my long-term partner at the time, like I had said, like I was a gamer. I've always been quite quiet, like indoors. Like I'm a social person. I'm also like very just like myself. I'm like social, but really like I'm on this like knife edge. I love people. I love being around people. And then also probably 99% of the time I just like to be at home, doing whatever.
I'm like once I'm out, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But getting me there.
To go out. Yeah.
My fiance has to like edge me out of the house. She's like, you'll enjoy it when you get there. And then
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Which you do. And so like I realized that because of like just who I was, a lot of like my time and energy went into my relationship, being a parent, working, just the usual for everyone. So when I was separated and I was like, oh, I'm just like by myself, I don't have I don't have someone else to be committed to. I don't have other things to be doing. I still a mum, obviously, but a lot of the other stuff fell away. And after about a year, I was genuinely just thinking that I didn't really have many like friends. I'd started playing World of Warcraft again because that's like my go-to. Like if you just want to get lost in a game, you want to find people to play with. WoW is that game for me. I played since 2008. And it was through playing WoW I met someone who I met a group of friends from a particular community, and one of them says, Lorna, my on-screen name is Kaalin, but my name is Lorna.
We've done the name reveal.
I think my brother spoiled my name reveal after streaming for like 2 days. He told everyone, but
I
yeah.
accidentally bought my PlayStation profile up on my stream, and it's just like my name fully across it.
You're like, it's done now.
Yeah,
just go with it. But yeah, and he says to me, his name's Benny, and he says, Lorna, he's like, I think you would be so good at making content. Like, have you ever considered it? He's like, you're very likable. He's like, you're quite funny. And he done some like esportsy bits and bobs, and he was involved with like some streamers and that. So that's why he thought of that. And I was like, I don't know. I think I was 32 at this point. Yeah, it's 5 years ago. So I'm like 32. And I'm like, who's going to watch me game? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm 32. No one's going to relate to me. I was like, never mind like the tech. How do I eat? Like, I don't even know how to stream, right? And I was like, oh, I don't know. But he's like, do you know what? He's like, I can help you set it up. You've got your PC. It's okay. We can, help you with OBS, do all the tech side. And he held my hand. He made me my first intro. And I was working full time at the minute, but living with my mum. So I had so much spare cash. Get me back to staying with my mum, right? It's the greatest time.
Well, it's like,
but then also you've got less freedom. Oh, should we do this?
They immediately go back to your 16 again.
For sure, because there's still that parent-child relationship. Yeah. But I had some extra cash, so I actually invested in a really good PC. Before I had even started, I was lucky, and I was just like, let's do it. And I did like I made a Twitter. I did all the usual things that maybe I guess like people are doing when they start out. Some I've come to know there's no point doing. Some are definitely worthwhile doing. But I did a little like Twitter campaign, and I started like, I was finding communities that I thought I would like before I even started. And I was just getting to know people. I wasn't telling anyone. I was like going on and start streaming. And then I did I was doing like wee countdowns on Twitter, like 10 days to the day, 9 days to the day. And on my first day, I made all my family come and tune in and watch me. They're not gamers. I was like, I'm doing this thing. You all can load up this stream and you can watch. I don't care if you talk. I don't care. But like, I support all of you. You're coming to support me. And I think like 17 of my friends and family showed up for my first stream. And I guess, as you say, the rest was history. None of them watch me anymore. They literally watched me one time, maybe twice.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely roped in a whole bunch of people to say, "Can you I've just got to hit this average viewer count."
Yeah, could you just show up and hang out? And they did. To be fair to them, they did. And that was it. That's how I got started. Someone was like, "I think you'd be good at it," and I was like, "I don't have much going on in my life at the minute, and I'm quite by myself." And then best decision I ever made. I suppose one of the best decisions I ever made.
I think it's definitely. I mean, me saying clearly you've got the talent for it. You don't need me to say that. It's obvious from your audience and your. I'm one of the very lucky people to to get to spend time in your chat. And I actually don't even remember how I came across you. My Twitch, honestly, has been overtaken by Scottish streamers. It's like Edinburgh's Nicest Boy, Limmy, you,
This is
1030.
Like,
they're all in.
sure.
I've got no one that's not Scottish on my Twitch. It's really, really odd situation I've got myself in.
As I find a lot of people do that, like they come in through someone Scottish and they find like other Scottish creators, and I don't know why that is, because it doesn't happen if you find like an English creator and then they go. It's like very niche, and I think it's because probably the Scottish like the Scottish content creators, they are niche, so the algorithm's probably like, oh, you know, you like haggis eating, tartan wearing, iron brew drinking people, which, you know, is great because we're a great people, so that's fair.
I mean,
and we're funny.
It's definitely a fun place to be, my Twitch. But
it is.
So if we go back to, so obviously you start streaming, but you said like never did you imagine that your life would be as a full-time streamer, and that's what you'd be doing. So I guess you were like, right, you like gaming, and someone had encouraged you and said they thought you'd be good. So you start streaming.
Yep.
And I think often we look at streamers and content creators, and you're seeing them. I found you, and you were already doing well. I didn't, I wasn't there right at the beginning of the journey. So I just assume you'd do this full time and you kind of successful. Never really think about how that came about. What was the period of time where you were streaming and working? Like, how long were you doing that for?
Well, I think 3 years working full time, streaming full time. And I honestly, I think like I said, I've come off the back of this, like, a 12-year-long relationship. And after my work, I wasn't doing anything. I literally would come home and I would stream for a couple of hours. My daughter is also at this point, because it's in my early 30s, like she's kind of grown up. I don't have to do anything for her. She's like doing her, I mean, she's 19 this year. So she's like 14, 15. So I also had that freedom in the evening, which maybe like a lot of people, if you're like myself, you're working, you've got kids, you maybe can't stream because it is a time thing. But I did have the time, and that's all I had really.
Yeah.
And so I worked for obviously as long as I had to. Because I mean, there's bills to pay, still a single parent. But then I actually stopped working, about 3 years in, but I had like a big health scare and I didn't stream for 8 months. I didn't work for 8 months. And I was really lucky. I managed to get onto a like self-employment kind of scheme through the job centre. So as I was getting better for my health, I wasn't like well enough to work like a full-time job anyway. I would have been off for longer. But through this scheme, I was able to still be off sick while I was recovering, but stream, like only stream. And I did that for a couple of, I think I did that from like the August of, just trying to think of dates, we were 2023, and I've been full-time for like a year and a half, so 22, 21, so 20, it would have been before COVID, 20, oh, no, it wasn't, it was during COVID. It was during COVID. So from August 2021, where nobody was really getting jobs, I was just coming off being sick. I managed to get on this thing where I could still stream between August of 2021 and January of 2022. So I got to stream like kind of uninterrupted for that period of time. And from there, I thought, I'm going to need to go back to work as soon as because I was getting better. There was only so long, I was getting better. I also wanted to go back to my work, and I was like, right. And I was just like kind of gearing up to go back to streaming and working, because I wasn't going to give up streaming. I loved it. And then Elden Ring came out, and that pushed me so far forward. I was already in a really good place. I had hit partner before Elden Ring came out, so I was around partner numbers, I guess.
Okay.
And then, but Elden Ring really skyrocketed me from, think I was like streaming to like 70, 80 average. And then during that period, and maybe for about half a year after that, I was streaming to 100, 200, 300 average for just those periods. And then now it's kind of back down to whatever, because I'm a variety streamer. So sometimes my numbers will be up, and then sometimes it just depends on the game. But I prefer to stay variety. That's my choice. I don't want to niche down.
Yeah.
I'd get too bored, but I totally wish that I could just be like in one game, one community. Because I do see that they have maybe like a little bit more stability. But yeah,
I think it's something I wanted to ask you about actually, because you know when I just finished playing Red Dead and Red Dead 2, sorry. And I was one of the few people left in the world that had managed to go this far in their life without getting any spoilers for that game.
And I've not got any spoilers. It's on my list of played to do. Okay. Everyone says it's amazing. I've not done it yet.
I played that, and you know, it not huge numbers, but definitely pushed me ahead of where I would have been in terms of like following and especially on TikTok, where there's a kind of a ready built community of people there just wanting to watch that thing. But yeah, it's something I wanted to ask you about, because there is a huge, like, I know I can go and play a specific section of that game, and the viewers will come flooding in, and there will be content off the back of it, and there is an innate temptation to me to just go, I can just do that, and that will get me to where I need to be. But on the other hand, the last person I interviewed were like, yeah, I really focused on Red Dead 2, and it's really niched me now, and now I'm having to work to get out of it. Do you ever have that temptation of going, let me do this for the numbers?
So if I play any Souls games, my numbers will just double that same day, whether it's Dark Souls or whatever. And I still have to get through some of them. And there is the temptations to just be like, do you know what? People love me for my Souls runs, and they want to see me play absolutely everything. I've still got to play Dark Souls 2, 3, Bloodborne. They're all there ready and waiting to go. And there is a temptation. But there's also games coming out that I want to play. And so one of the things that I try and do is give it a bit of balance, because as you were saying, the person before, they're struggling to get out of their niche. And I feel that because I forced myself to stay variety and just ride the numbers and whatever, it has meant that I've had a lot more opportunities because of it. And I've also found that my community, those who are watching, you find a more, variety of people as well when you're playing variety. It's not just the same community that's like focused on the one game. And without playing certain games, there's definitely people in my community I would never have met if it was just for just niching down. But there is that thing that it is like, it's so tempting to follow the numbers. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think sometimes you're going to have to, if you're having success in one area and you can make content from something that you love, like, why would you not do it? Even if you're playing Call of Duty over and over, League of Legends, Dead by Daylight is a popular one in the Scottish community for sure. And I just don't understand how people can, like, I love Dead by Daylight. I have like 1,000 hours in it, I played it way before, like when it first came out, and then I kind of stopped. But like, I have no idea how people can stream 4 or 5 times a week for 5-6 hours, and they're just doing the same map with the same killers, the same things. And I know why they do it, because it wouldn't matter to me what I'm playing. I mean, you've been on the channel. I'm just happy to hang out with everyone. So first and foremost, I don't think the game really matters anyway, because you're there for your community. But as a person, like, I would get bored. I'd get bored, and I guess like when it comes to growing beyond, because I think I'm like in a place where, like, okay, I make content the same as everyone else, but I am like a step beyond whatever, if you want to say there's steps, where I do get a lot of paid contractual work. And if you niche down, that you're not going to get that, because unless there's a very specific, unless DBD are doing something very specific and they need DBD streamers, they don't, so they don't really do that. Same for Call of Duty. Like, the opportunities for people playing Call of Duty or Apex Legends, there will be some, but it's not as, being a variety gaming creator means that there's so much more, I don't know, there's so much more developers to work with. As we know, like I love indie developers as well. It's meant that I've got to work with some amazing studios. Not all paid. Obviously, I play games for free. Some things are paid, but not everything. But yeah, so I take the hit on the numbers sometimes. And sometimes I play a game and there's like a 30, 40 average. And it's hard because sometimes I think, oh, people go, oh, she's failing. And then I'm like, that's okay. I don't think it's failing. I just, I set out to make content because I was lonely and because I wanted to make some friends. And I just wanted to hang out with people. And I'm quite a positive person. Sorry, world. Like, I don't even feel like I try to be positive. I think my body hormones may be out of whack because I wake up in a good mood every day. I never wake up in a bad mood. I'm like, and it irritates me sometimes. I'm like, why am I don't be grumpy or something. But I just wanted to hang out with people and share what I loved with them and have them be able to share their loves back at me. And so that's why I always just stuck with it.
I've watched quite a lot of different streamers and I've kind of gone into and also left various communities based on the community, but various streamers, based on the community and definitely their interaction with their community. One of the things about your channel is, I mean, you just have this hub of super loyal people. Like, I know when I go in there that I'm going to be greeted and that you know there's always going to be a select few people who I know are always in there, and you've just got this great community that will chat amongst themselves and interact with you, and you are like I said before, very open and transparent with them, incredibly open. I watched a stream of you the other day and I was, it's heart-wrenching but also just incredible to watch someone. I've never seen someone be that open certainly on Twitch or certainly as a game streamer. Is that just your natural instinct to be quite vulnerable with people, or is it something that has developed over time?
Definitely an online Lorna thing, not a real life Lorna thing. Like, I wouldn't tell my family anything. But again, like doing this for 5 years, one of the things that I found is like, again, we talked about like people finding refuge in gaming and people finding refuge in communities and finding a space where they belong and happiness and joy with friends. And so along the way, I realized that I guess you're like a magnet, right? You attract what you put out. Like, you get toxic streamers and then they have a toxic community, right? Like, so I'm just like rolling around being me, like, and then people who are similar to me come in and they want to hang out, right? And then they want to make friends with other people who have got like, this positive outlook in life, that are enjoying games, that like to be a bit silly. And I think as well, enjoy games, be a bit silly and just live your best life and do whatever. But also as an adult, because I'm nearly 40, so that's another thing. But there are other people, especially I would say like women who game, and they're like, my audience is we have a lot of women in the community, a lot more than other communities that I've noticed. And the feedback from them is that because I'm older, they just see themselves. They see a mum potentially, or just like, like you're an older lady, but you love to game, and it's like, oh yeah, together. And it's fine to be silly and the world doesn't end. But the vulnerability ended up being, it's not something I do want to like always be fun and bring that happiness. And I think people watch for the laughs and the jokes and whatever. But I'm just like I would say, like, I just want to be a genuine person as well. Like, I don't want to be always being positive. And then people who are watching me are struggling behind the scenes and they think, oh, that Lorna, that Kaalin, like, she's just always so happy. And they see that, like you see like models and like all these like things that they're not achievable for most people, Instagram, like all these filters, people starving themselves that way. Or like, I guess like even with like gamers, people seeing something and they can't relate it to themselves. And I think I just wanted to be like, I'm just, me, and I wanted to make sure that the space was a real space. And if things are shit for me, I try not to bring too much, like, obviously, like, I don't want to trauma dump on anyone, because I don't want anyone to do that to me either. So But then there is a thing to say that life is crap and we're all in it together. And people come into the chat as well. And if they're having a hard day, they share, they get a hug, they get lifted up by everyone else. And then we get on with the game. And I think that's the important part, is that I don't want to be a mental health channel. I'm not the community. I don't want it to be like, hey, we're here to support your mental health. I'm on that side of thing. I'm like, please go see someone, get help if you can. But beyond that, it's like what's going on in your life is important to me. It's important to the community. We love you and we will support you, but we can't help you. You know, I'm not a help space, but come find refuge here and you matter. And that's fine, and we'll listen. And so I seen that other people needed it. So I think that you have to open up. If you want people to open up to you, you have to open up to them first. So that's how that started. Yeah.
Well, you do have, it is a truly wonderful community, and you've done a great job at kind of, I guess, curating and facilitating that.
Yeah, I love them.
I wondered how much, again, it's this thing of, you know, you look at content creators and streamers, you know, if anyone wants to go look at your TikTok now, they would see a number of followers, they would see a number of likes, they would see viral posts. I'm curious as to how much intent there was behind like growing your numbers. Not necessarily that your content is numbers led, because I know it's not, but just like, I think there's an element of, certainly was for me, it's like, if you build it, they will come. Like, I just jump on the stream and I'll be discovered. But Twitch definitely doesn't work like that. Like, how much intent did you put behind, right, this is how I'm going to grow my audience?
So a lot. Like, I am a very ambitious person. And I think when you're quite nice, people don't think you're ambitious. I am a go-getter, hustler. Like, anything, like my whole life, if I was doing something, it was getting done. And I'm quite driven that way. But the intent was definitely 100%. And it came after the health thing. So like, I streamed alongside working. It was a hobby. I never thought it could be a job. I just streamed for fun, right? Like, that's how it starts. And I think I still stream for fun. It's a little bit nuanced now because it's a job, but I still stream mostly just for fun. And I happen to pay the bills. But before, it was just like, you're just getting on. So what would that be? It'd be like 3 years in, when I was coming back after being unwell. Prior to that, I had saw that there was a little bit of traction, you know, like people hanging around. We'd already had a good community. I'd gotten up to near partner numbers before I had gotten sick. I moved to another platform at one point as well, way before everyone's moving platforms now. PewDiePie streams on it, and I got global partner within like a month. I made a lot of money in like a few months, and then I ended up back at Twitch as well. And so I was just always just like, just thoughting about plodding along, just streaming. But I knew there was potential there. But I think like it took me 3 years to really believe in myself, to be like, do you know what? There is actually people who, when they come in, they stay and they chat and they hang around. And so like, you're trying to be like, nah, people don't like my content. Nobody's going to watch. And you're like, but people are watching. So you can't really, like, the facts are there, Lorna. Like, people come, you're enjoying yourself. And it was just like my mindset changed, right? Like, and I was like, if I had a taste and I was like, I want to do this for my job. I want to set my own hours. I want to play games. I want to hang out with people all the time. And I was like, right, do it then. Do it. Got to commit to it. And like I said, I was really lucky because I was unwell at the time. I wasn't like working, so I could still make content unwell. I mean, the content back then, if anyone ever goes back, like I look unwell. I'm not in the best place, but I made the content and I was like, right, we're going to do it. I'd done it for 3 years. I knew how to be successful. I've seen other people do it. I'm like, right. And so what I did is I found all the streamers that I loved watching that had went from, you know, just starting out to partner to whatever. And I was like, what are they doing? And they were all doing roughly the same thing. And I was like, right, well, I'm going to do it. And so I started a YouTube channel and I put out regular content there. I started my TikTok and I started with 3 videos a day, every day for a year, right? And I think people think that, oh, that's good, you just went viral and now you're a partner. No. I made 3 videos every single day for a whole year, mostly 3 videos. I guess maybe some days would have been less. And I just clipped everything. And I also found that it doesn't have to be the best clip. Like some of the clips that have got so many views on my channel, I think they're boring. I'm like, why are people going, this is so funny? Like, no, it wasn't. But then I've done like the funniest thing ever, and I've clipped it, and that goes out, and it doesn't even go anywhere. The TikTok algorithm is so effed. There's no way to think, oh, do this, do that. And it changes so often. One of the only things that I find that it likes is if you make regular content and you use the app and you use the new features they put out. So if they're doing that now thing, or they're doing whatever, same as YouTube, if they've got new features coming out, like stories, when they started to come out, you just do it, you get on board. And that was it. I was like, I'm going to stream this amount of time per week, and then I'm going to do these other things. And if I was to say to anyone who really wants to go from casual streamer to maybe like starting that journey to it being a full-time job, ditch some of your hours on stream. I see people streaming 5-6 times a week. You don't have to stream that. If you stream a couple days per week and then use the other days to make TikToks, to put something out on YouTube, to do whatever, to make sure that you're active on social media, those things are really what matters, actually. And those are the things that have driven my growth, not Twitch. There's no discoverability on Twitch whatsoever. Very rarely. Maybe you get some people here and there from a raid, but then that also counts on you knowing people who are going to raid you, right? And no, that can be hard as well.
Yeah, I think so. Because especially if you're, I'm so new to gaming, and I told a story on the last thing. It's like 2 years ago, I was the guy that was like, why would anyone watch a stream? Why would you watch people gaming? Like I was the old man talking to my nieces and nephews going like, what is this? And then here I am 2 years later. Doing it myself. But it's interesting that you're talking about the content creation and dedicating more time to that. So I think, we've been talking about you as a streamer, but you've also got this other side. And in my experience, and I don't know about you, it takes me significantly longer to create content than it does. The streaming is the easy bit for the most part.
It is easy, yeah.
Watching yourself back for 3 hours and going, what do I think might be funny or good to put on TikTok is much more challenging. Like, how did you have experience with video editing? Were you just learning all of this on the fly? Like, how did you, the content creator thing is an interesting thing to me over the streamer thing. Like, how did you decide that was something? And how did you learn that?
So I decided it was something because I saw that that's what I saw that it was working for other people, and I knew I had to get people to me, and I couldn't do it through Twitch. And as you say, one of the reasons why a lot of people who want to make content, they go to streaming and then they stay there is because it has a very like instant gratification, satisfaction. Like one person comes up and they say hi, and you're like, oh my God, hi.
Yeah.
They're like, how are you? And I'm like, no, how are you? Like, that's great. And then they're like, oh my God, I love your channel. And you're like, oh my goodness, I'm a streamer forever, right? Like, you're so funny. You're so that people come in and they go, oh my God, I love this game. I love that. And you bond over that. And so streaming gives you that instant, like, it's like satisfying. You feel like you're winning kind of right away. And it starts with just one person, 2 people or whatever. Whereas TikTok and YouTube and Twitter and all of those things you could put out like 100 videos on YouTube before you start seeing anything more on TikTok. I'm not sure. And so I didn't do those things at first as well. Same sort of thing. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the skills. I've never video edited. I'm literally the most like technological inept person who does it for a job. I've learned as I've went and I am better, but like, most of the time I'm just like, hi, Liquid, can you help me with this? I'm trying to do this and I don't know how to get it. And Liquid has been like a big help. And then honestly, YouTube videos. Liquid helped me to edit when I wanted to do TikTok. I was like, I want to do TikTok. Can you show me how to edit? And I literally just loaded up DaVinci. I shared my screen. And even he hadn't really done DaVinci. He was using like Premiere Pro or something at the time. But I was like, I'm not spending any money. Program. And I gave him the YouTube video of the style. I was like, this is how they do it on DaVinci. I think I can figure it out, but can you be there? And I did, and I watched the video and I was doing it, but I had Liquid like look at me, be like, no, this one here. So even though I had watched it I had that. There is tutorials out there. So I feel like even if someone doesn't have someone that can sit down side by side with them, YouTube is great for like step by steps. If you're very specific in what you want, there's probably a video out there that shows you how to do it.
Yeah. I feel like we should very quickly explain that Liquid is part of your community and a mod in your channel. just saying, I had Liquid help me. Liquid. Like, I really understand what's going on.
Yeah,
but people watching might be going, "What is this Liquid?"
That's true. Liquid has been part of the community for 4 years, I think now. And he is like my main mod, but also we're very good friends as well now. He's actually coming over next week, so. We are like good friends, but I would have been able to get to where I am like on my own. I believe that, and I believe everyone can, but I think there's definitely no one's journey is just made up of stuff that they do by themselves. And Liquid has been such a good support. Like, he's there when I'm crying about stuff or there to help me solve a problem. And then also as well, there to share in the success, of the channel and the community. And I think Liquid also feels like part of the journey. We have like conversations as well. So he feels like the community is also, like it's his space as well. And, we're just going together. But yeah, if it wasn't for good friends, and that was the same for when I got started. Denny says, you get started, I'll help you. If it wasn't for amazing people at the right time, it would have been a lot harder to get here, I think.
Yeah.
A lot harder.
I think the other thing that's really interesting, and it seems to be a consistent thing that comes up, and certainly something I've found, again, at much smaller numbers, is the stuff that sometimes the stuff that you spend 4 or 5 hours doing, and you're like, yeah, this is really beautifully edited. I think this is hilarious. And you put it out there to nothing. And then, you put something out that is just a clip that you just throw out there, and suddenly it's, I think one of my most successful videos is just a thing that I did on a whim of just not even gaming, just me talking about a game.
Yeah.
And then you've got stuff that, on the surface looks incredibly simple. You've got you talking to a turtle in Elden, or a tortoise.
Well, I think he is technically a tortoise, but he's the turtle pope. So
the turtle pope.
But he is actually a tortoise. He doesn't have fins. Turtles have fins.
There you go.
But he's still the turtle pope, or a dog, whatever you prefer. He's a good boy.
There's stuff like that, and presumably that is a something. That's just something that happened in the game. And something that's very quick for you to just throw out there, and did amazingly well for you.
For sure. And I think those natural moments of reaction. So when I walked into that place, I'm just seeing this turtle. I mean, tortoise, dog, turtle. And I couldn't get over it. And I just like, and I think like that was what, like I said, that there's big defining moments that have launched me forward. And that clip was one of them. I think it has 1.5 million views, which blows my mind. Because
someone in my chat at the moment just going, is that turtle the Pope?
And that is exactly what I said. And I think when I walked in and I vocalized, wait, is that turtle the Pope? And I'm like, is that turtle the Pope? Like, I couldn't, because Elden Ring is like just filled with, I don't know, you're just looking at things and I'm like, how did someone think of this? How someone thought, hold on till I get a turtle in this church. And it's not that he's going to have a hat on, he's going to be the Pope, and he's going to be so nice. And if you hit him, he's going to be like, no, like he's going to apologize on your behalf. He's there to save you. I'm like, hold up. And I think those are the most successful clips of mine across all games, is where I vocalize what every single gamer has felt walking into there. Like, wait, is that turtle the Pope? Like, actually, you know what I mean? Like, is that what's happening? And I think, as you were saying, I also have like a lot of clips where I've done a bit more editing or a bit more work. I am quite lucky again. I think, I don't know if I just jumped on TikTok at the right time or because I have more followers and stuff now. I just usually mostly do gameplay clips unless it's like ad content or whatever. So I literally just directly lift them from Twitch and I just put them over there, and it's just my reactions with the game. But I started that way, and I do see that people who just lift clips straight from Twitch, I do find that they seem to struggle a little bit more. But I've been doing it now for 2.5 years, so for quite a long time. But also as well, the gaming aspect on TikTok is not. It's still a small part of their thing. They do have a dedicated team now for the last little while, and they are trying to, promote more gaming stuff. But TikTok and a lot is mostly been lifestyle, beauty, food, travel,
all
a
the
lot of
stuff
that
that you want to watch.
all the stuff that I watch. Yeah, I love over there. I watch cat grooming videos, go to sleep. They're my favorite, cat and dog grooming videos or something. But yeah, I think one of the things I learned early on is don't be precious. Don't be precious about it. Oh, I'm going to put this out and I need to work on it for 10 hours. Do you know what? Put it out. See if nobody likes it. Who cares?
Yeah.
If it gets 10 views, who cares? Who cares? Because the next one might get 10,000 views. I don't know. Don't be precious over your content. Nothing has to be perfect. And I think at the end of the day, it does not so I'm scuffed, right? I just got a new camera. Now I look really not scuffed, but I am so scuffed when it comes to making content. I can't edit. I can only do the basics. So I only stick with the basics. But the thing is that it doesn't matter if I have 25 effects or zooming in or all of these things on my video, because if the content's crap, it's crap, right? If my interaction with it isn't that great, or it's maybe just, it's not, because you got to stand out as well, right? People got to relate to it. So if it doesn't stand out to anyone, know that it doesn't matter how good an editor I am. The content has to be there. I do think though that with some really clever editing, you can enhance, different moments. But I'm always just don't be precious. Get started, just throw stuff out. But what I will say with YouTube and TikTok, and I'm guessing Instagram as well, although I'm not thinking it, is that they like you to be consistent. So when you start, you should really start and make sure, if you're doing a video every day, do a video every day. If it's a video every couple of days, TikTok really has to be once a day minimum. I recommend 3 if you can, especially for that first, get yourself going. And then you can go, I put 1 a day out now. So definitely get going. And sometimes I skip a few days now, just because I forget. And I don't get punished anymore by the algorithm, but I've obviously put out a lot of content over time. So
there's definitely, it feels like there's definitely a volume and consistency thing to get out of that 200 view jail that you're in for a while at the beginning there. Okay, and let's talk about just, I'm aware you've only got a little bit of time left. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You obviously have your gaming content, but you have also started to kind of feel like you are moving into more of a true content creator role, where you're not necessarily just thinking about what gameplay clip can I do. You've got your kind of reacts channel to films and series. Again, is that an intentional, right, I want to broaden out, I want to diversify, or is it just that you want to watch you're watching TV and you think, this is time that could be made out into content?
No, it's definitely more intentional. I love streaming and I love doing this for a job, and I've done it full-time properly, paid all my bills for 1.5 years, which I think is an amazing, I'm whoa, let's go. So that's amazing. But a lot, after the pandemic and a lot of things changing, a lot of numbers for everyone across the board. And I'm not a numbers player, but they do matter. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't get away from them. They're still important. They're not be all and end all, but they're important. And so with streaming, with being a variety creator, things are more up and down. And I never really feel very secure doing content creation full time. I've managed to make it every single month, some more scraped by than others. But there was a few points there when I thought I'm going to need to go and get at least a part-time job alongside my content creation. But I have a lot of illnesses. I'm technically disabled. I struggle with my mental health, but I would say my mental health was in a much better place. I could get to work now. There's maybe points where my anxiety would have been quite bad. I wouldn't have been able to get out of the house, but I wouldn't say that would affect me. And there's been a few points this year, right at the start of the year, and then maybe June, July there, where I was I'm going to need to go and get a job because there's so much going on in my life. I can pay my bills, but there's not much left over for living, right? So I was right. And then I was just I don't want to. if anyone can get here, if you can make content, if you can be surrounded by incredible people every time you stream, if you can, like, I don't know, I dance to my own time now. Everything, my whole life is, I can schedule streaming around it. It doesn't, interfere with anything I'm doing. And I love it. Like, I love it. So started making the other content, the reaction content, because I was like, I need something else to go alongside what I'm doing, because I don't need to be the most successful streamer, right? It doesn't matter. Like, I do it for fun, and if I can survive off it, great. So I thought what I would do is I'd add in something different type of content, YouTube, and a different, like, content. So reaction rather than, and to do with TV shows and movies. And so then I thought I was, like, kind of doubling my luck. So if I'm only ever, because even though I've had, like, so much success with streaming, I'm still small. Like, I'm tiny, like, in the big puddle of people, there's people with 10,000, 20,000 viewers, even people with like 1,000, 2,000. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like rocking around 70 to 100. So I'm a tiny, but, massive as well at the same time. Because if you can do it for a job, then you've done it, you've made it, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't, the levels beyond that are irrelevant, I think. Especially,
for sure.
Me looking to you, for example.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, there's a big gap there, and there's years worth of work and creation that needs to go into getting to that level, and then there's another level above you, and then there's the 1%ers, right, at the top that are getting £100 million deals to move to different platforms.
Exactly. So
the React content is the diversification, and just another thing.
It's to give me something else, so that if like the streaming, because streaming is where I do streaming. What, I don't know. TikTok in the last couple months has made me more money than streaming in the last couple months, but it's always been usually via Twitch. But like, things are kind of shifting where, like, TikTok is kind of coming up as well alongside Twitch. I think more developers are recognizing, TikTok as a tool. They took a little while. So I've been able to, like, do some paid TikToks recently, which was never a thing before. So that is so recent, at least for me. I don't know if the other people have felt that, but I could never monetize my TikTok content. It was solely for visibility up until now.
It's not like making money from, like, gifts. It's promotional content.
I don't really. People do come in and they'll gift the odd, but it's not. I think. I mean, I'm quite open about my numbers.
1,000 diamonds, and they worth 15p or something.
So from TikTok in 2.5 years, I have made. Oh, what did I take out? I'm trying to remember. £625 in 2 years. Is it as much as that? I'll need to double check. But I think it's around that. Maybe it's 425.
And it's sure. In the hundreds.
It's only a few £100, and people are going, oh my god, £600 from TikTok, that's amazing, but that's in 2.5 years, and I never took a penny out of it until just now. I'm using it towards my spending money for Japan, and also out of that 625, $200 of it was a gift that someone randomly gifted me as well. That's the only usually it just trickles in maybe 30 cents like a go, but so it hasn't been a lot, and but now I think more game developers are looking at that, so that's been quite good. And then the YouTube with the React content is I just love making content, and I don't want it to go away. And the thing is that it can, like, people can just, maybe they get busy, they just, maybe you just play that wrong game, right? Or I don't know, but
I think that would, do you feel like it would require, do you think there is an element of being worried about becoming complacent with what you've got and just thinking, you can trundle along, whereas for the first 3 years you were really driven, and then there's the temptation to go, oh, I can just stick at this level.
But I also think as well, because there isn't that stability, having as many different avenues, like, if you like making content, you want to work for yourself, you have like a passion, like, squeeze it all in. Like I was saying, you don't have to stream 5 times a week. And if I was to go back and do it all again, I would not stream to start with. I would I would not have hit go live. Because it took me a year to 2 years to really like I had like obviously a small community, and then after about a year, I think a year I got up to like almost partner numbers. But I also got lucky with a few things to get there along the way. Because I played FIFA, it was a bit more niche. I was part of the FIFA community, and I was one of only a few women. So that definitely was very niche for me. But I would start with things like YouTube now and TikTok and whatever. They are longer to grow. You don't get that instant gratification, but after time, they are actually amazing. And then I would stream later on. So I think that's funny as well. Like if I was to do it again and I had no audience, I wouldn't start with streaming because it's a grind, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I think it's
hard.
the difference. It's the difference between a live show and watching something on TV. Like in terms of creation, it's like if you do way back when I used to do stand up, and it was either great or awful, And it's the difference between if you did that versus then going and filming a sitcom. It's like one is very much in real time and you get that instant feedback, but the other is you have to kind of put it out there and wait to see what the reaction is.
To see. And the thing is that when you're making content on like YouTube or TikTok, and particularly YouTube, is that some of your content may end up being an evergreen, like reaction content's about evergreen. And it's there. Like if you're live for 4 hours on this day, if people are at work or they're busy or they're doing something, they might not be able to show up. So your growth to get to where you need to get to can take a long time. And that's fine because people have real lives. No one expects anyone to be around. But with like the YouTube content, it doesn't matter. People see a new video, they watch it and whatever. No matter which way you go. I mean, I'm doing both. I would recommend doing both. If you can do it, do it all. It's a lot of work though. But I'm kind of just like, if you want it, you just make time for it. If people want to go to the gym, they make time for it. If they want to go, I don't know, knitting, crochet, people have these passions. And if you really want it and you want to be successful and you really want to give yourself the best chance of becoming successful, is you can't just hit go live. I know that might work for some people, but that's not. Everyone else has had to, get stuck into social media, get all these things. And that's like the only thing I can say is like, make content, make it everywhere. Don't be too precious. Like just put it out there and learn as you go, because I don't stream the same stuff that I started. I don't make the same content that I started. I'm definitely not the same person. I would never think that I'd be on camera, like talking to people. I'd just be like, no, I wouldn't. But now I'm just like, that's fine. Don't bother me.
Yeah. Perfect. The final thing I want to ask you is you talked a little bit about historically mental health challenges. Don't worry, this is not a question about getting into that, but what's interesting to me is you talk about how more recently you've found more stability in that. Do you think this is a bit of a weird analysis, but this is what it is for me, is the creative outlet. If I don't have a creative outlet, right, if I'm just sitting and smoking a vape and scrolling through TikTok and not doing anything with my life, I feel pretty down. Actually, if I have, if I'm doing something, whether it's content creation or streaming, that creative outlet of some kind, or paintings you'll see in the background, do you think that has had an effect on your ability to maintain more stability in your mental health?
I think having a purpose and doing something that I enjoy, as you like that outlet, that has helped. But I really want to credit like a lot of the better mental health well-being days to the community and the member in the community. Like I'll not cry, I might cry. I have obviously gotten to know so many people over the years, and they have faced incredible challenges in their lives, things that I don't even know how they've managed to come out the other side themselves. I've seen them with their ups and their downs, and they've seen me. And I think that honestly, they just inspire me. And that has really, like, their influence and how they overcome their demons, their hardships, their whatever. That's something that's really like, I don't know, it's just like lit like that little fire in my heart to be like, you don't, because my anxiety was so bad at one point I couldn't leave my house, and I thought, how am I ever going to get out of this situation? Because I'd never been in that situation before. I only struggled with my mental health in the last couple of years. I did not have any anxiety or anything before that. I would have said I was quite a confident person, quiet and whatever, but confident for sure. And yeah, it's just everyone else. Like, I think everyone in that community just, I don't know, they're wondrous and they just don't have their own stuff going on. And some of them have been ill and then battled that with just like so much dignity, so much like, I don't know. And I think there's something about they all touch my life. And so from me, I'm just like, hold on, I'm about to boss stuff as well, because y'all are giving me energy. Wait till I boss some stuff so that then you get that energy back. And then they are like, oh, you're giving you energy. And I'm like, oh, hold on, I've got some more back and whatnot. But yeah, so I think the better mental health days is having some purpose and honestly seeing success and stuff. Like, I love making content and I love gaming, and I'm not numbers driven, so I don't really look at them, but it's still like a good feeling when I'm like, wait, like people find this funny or they loved it, or they're like, oh my God, you're so hilarious. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. What they don't know is I'm actually like a loser over here, like just telling them how they must think I got this like, oh, she's so fun. Like, I'm just like at home, you know, doing
at least you get you're so funny. I generally get are you Heisenberg? That's the comment I get. It's just people naming bald white men left, right, and centre.
I get a lot of oh my God, you look like Rogue from X-Men now. Again, I didn't get that before. Just the blonde at the front, which I get.
Better than Heisenberg though, isn't it?
It is. Rogue's cool. And then I think also with the mental health stuff and just better days is really, and this is something I've learned from my community, is bloody self-care. And looking after yourself. I didn't think that I come from a family where it's like a lot of people were just like, do you know what, you got a problem, you just need to get on with it. Everyone's struggling, everyone's sad at times, just get on with it. I think the community are so open and they really showed me that actually, wait, you can look after yourself and you don't have to just suck it up. And so alongside doing things is I've seen other people cut out toxic people from their lives to move on from family, which is a hard thing, all these different things. And I'm like, wait, you can do that? And so there was a period a couple of years ago where I was like, you know what? If you're making me feel bad or I don't feel like you're making me feel happy, you're out. And I did. I just was like, see you later. It wasn't easy. And then now I don't miss those people or those things, or like it could be a job. It doesn't have to be people. It could be maybe you feel... Sometimes I feel pressured to do something I don't want to do, whether it's like, it could be go for a family picnic. I just don't want to go. Maybe it's just not my day. I'm not feeling it. But you feel like if you don't go, people will say something. So you kind of feel pressured to go. And then because you're going, you need to like ask someone else. And then there's all these like nuances where you're like, wait, I didn't even want to go in the first place. And there's all these things around it that are now, and I don't do that anymore. I'm just like, no, I'm not going. And if anyone's like, makes a problem of it, I'm just like, oh, well, you know, either be okay with it or I'll also see you later. And I think that mentality took a long time to get through, because obviously I'm still a kind and compassionate person and I don't want to cut people out but I've just learned self-care. Like there's just things that are worth it and things that are not worth it. And you know, as a person, the things that aren't worth it. So yeah, honestly, I just kept filling up my days with things that I liked and people that I liked and content creation and stuff that I liked, and over time it got better and I just pushed away the things that were a bit And then I think in the last year, the year and a half, meeting Kaalin has been like a big one for me as well, because I was like quite still kind of coming out of everything, and Kaalin is a bit like myself. Like he's very much more like extrovert than I am, but he also just like wakes up in a good mood and is quite happy like most of the time. And I think surrounding yourself with people of the same thing does help as well.
It's always nice to see you telling him off on stream.
Yeah,
it always seems to be a little scold for Kaalin at some point if he's on stream.
He's got it done. He's got it done. It's like a bit that we play now. And the thing is like I always say after stream, I'm like, hey Kaalin, I love you so much. And I'm like, can I sit with you? Can I hold your hand? Can we have a hug? Can you hug us on the head? But then on stream, it's like, Kaalin. But genuinely, if it's like off stream, I am like, hey, I'm like, you want to hold my hand? I would never. We have such a wonderfully nice relationship, and it's just like it's fun and silly all the time. Like if I'm making dinner, he wants to dance in the kitchen. He's got a routine he does with me, or we've got little things.
I don't know why that's not on TikTok yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's not great. We both can't dance that way. But yeah, no, we do definitely play that. But I think he's become quite he's definitely like wormed his way into the community like him as well, which is good. And again, that just brings another aspect of real life in, because I was in a 12-year relationship. I wasn't really happy. Then I came out of it and I was 5 years alone. Also wasn't really happy. And I think, again, like seeing people in similar situations, I think a lot of people could be like me. You find yourself so all of a sudden in your 30s, what are you doing for your job? You've no partner. What are you doing? And I think people can feel like, oh no, I'll never find anyone. But I did. And I wasn't even looking. So he just came and sat down in front of me one time. So, and then he didn't leave. So
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Listen, what's next for you? What's the next big Kaalin?
What is next? Honestly, I think I've definitely found like a nice stride with my content. I would love to keep growing to a point. Like I'd love to get maybe like I'm always like I'd love to be like double, maybe triple where I am. Like so you know just where I am, but double. So that like then I don't want to go too much further because I love like the smaller community. Like I love connecting with everyone. But what's next for me is that honestly, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm already doing. If there's other things that come up that help with growth or connecting me to people, maybe I'll give it a go. But I'm not sure. I think I'm honestly at the point where I don't think I really could be doing very much more when it comes in terms of like my, I guess, like career. And I think that's the thing. Like I still game for fun. I still stream for fun. I make content for fun. I just happen that it does pay the bills. I don't think there's not been much change. But once it is your job and you do have bills to pay, like you think about it like a job rather than a hobby. So it just like switches. Yeah. So when I think about content creation now, I think about it as my job. So when I talk about it, I feel like I'm just talking about it like my job. But for me, I just want to do this for as long as possible before I have to go back to like a normie job or regular job.
It's not going to happen.
I hope not. And that's why the YouTube channel and other things, like there's other things there. And I think, yeah, there is no next steps. I feel super content with my content. I'd love to be just a couple of steps ahead of where I am for comfortability. And as much as numbers don't matter, they do matter to like brands and sponsors. And that's where it really makes a difference if you're doing it full time for sure. And that's like hard to get to. So, you know, there is that pressure. I think that's the numbers pressure for me comes from that. Like if you want to make sure you're still getting the contracts, you still have to show like they look at the numbers. They don't care about anything else. So yeah, I don't know. Honestly, there's nothing next. Like, hopefully, boss out the new YouTube channel and keep making content.
Perfect.
And that's it.
I'm excited to see it. Listen, I'm so grateful for you taking the time because I know you're very busy. And I also know this is not the kind of thing you usually do. So I'm very grateful. The good news is there's lots of people in chat saying that are very early in their journey, much like me, are saying. Oh, it's really great to hear the validation of some of the points that you've made, and you know that it's really helpful. So you know your streams and your content are helping people. You're always so gracious with your time and advice. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I'm excited to see what you do next, and I'll see you in the stream. And also enjoy Japan. I'm very jealous.
I'm excited.
It sounds like it's going to be amazing.
2 weeks today is the first day of 1 week today is. So this time on Tuesday is the first day of my holiday. I started the traveling on the Wednesday, but my last stream, my last work is Monday. So like not even a week, less than a week, 6 days. And then I've got 3 weeks off. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Are you gonna make some content in Japan? Is there going to be some travel? No, it's going to be pure fun. Just
fun. I maybe will do some like little video clips, and maybe I can do like a mini vlog, but mostly for myself, just so that I can look back. It probably won't go out it wouldn't go out on my TikTok or anything like that. The only thing I'm planning to do, I guess, content-wise, is sharing everything I eat. So I'm going to do a food thread on Twitter, and everything I eat, I'm going to put in the Twitter thread, and that's about it. And again, that doesn't feel like work. That's just me like, yo, this is what I'm eating. Look how cool it is. Delicious.
I'm gonna let you go and get on with your evening.
No worries.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Soon. My pleasure, of course. I will see you. We won't be speaking audibly, but I will definitely see you in chat again soon.
Perfect.
And have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Guys, how wonderful is Kaalin? Or Lorna?